Stop right now and look at your hands. Everything you see in your life, your bank account, your relationships, the very body you're standing in is a direct reflection of what you have decided you are willing to tolerate. If you want a life you've never had, you must stop settling for the life you had and start demanding a version of yourself that refuses to accept anything less than extraordinary. The transition from should to must is not a mere shift in vocabulary. It is a fundamental identity. Most people carry around a mental laundry list of things they believe they should do. I should eat better. I should save more money. I should be more present. But should is a word that contains an inherent escape hatch. It is a soft commitment that allows for excuses, delays, and eventual resignation. When you say you should do something, you are essentially telling your brain that the outcome is optional. You are giving yourself permission to fail before you've even begun. To build the life you deserve, you must reach a point of psychological threshold where should is burned away and replaced by an absolute non-negotiable must. This is the must phase, the moment where your standards are no longer defined by your desires, but by your requirements. You don't get what you want in life, you get what you tolerate. If you tolerate a body that is lethargic and weak, that is what you will have. If you tolerate a relationship that is filled with resentment or lack of intimacy, that is the reality you will inhabit. Your life is a direct reflection of your standards. Raising your standards means that you stop negotiating with your own laziness or fear. It means that the version of yourself that accepts mediocrity is no longer allowed to sit at the table. When something becomes a must, you find a way. If someone you loved was in danger, you wouldn't say, I should try to help them. You would find a way or make one. That same level of intensity, that same level of absolute certainty must be applied to your own growth and your own vision. This shift creates a massive surge of drive because it aligns your actions with your sense of self. When you raise your standard, you are essentially telling the universe and yourself that you are a person who does X, Y, and Z, not someone who merely hopes to do them. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being committed to a trajectory that never settles for less than what you are capable of becoming. You begin to operate from a place of power rather than a place of trying, and that is the only place where true transformation can actually take root and survive the inevitable challenges of the journey. Your emotional and physical state is the invisible engine that determines the quality of your life, yet most people leave it to chance. They wait for the external world to give them a reason to feel good, to feel powerful, or to feel motivated. But if you are waiting for the environment to dictate your internal experience, you are a slave to fortune. To build the life you deserve, you must master the art of state management, the ability to change how you feel in an instant, regardless of the challenges in front of you. There are two primary levers to this, your physiology and your focus. Physiology is the fastest way to change your state. Think about it. How does a depressed person stand? Their shoulders are slumped, their head is down, their breathing is shallow. You cannot feel like a world beater in that physical posture. Conversely, when you move with certainty, when you breathe deeply, and when you use your body with intensity, you change the biochemical cocktail in your blood. You move from a state of survival to a state of peak performance. You don't think your way into a new way of acting. You act your way into a new way of thinking. The second lever is focus. Whatever you focus on, you feel. If you focus on what's missing, you feel lack. If you focus on what's missing, you feel lack. If you focus on what you can't control, you feel overwhelmed. If you focus on the past and what went wrong, you feel regret. But the moment you shift your focus toward what you are grateful for, what you are committed to, and what is possible, your entire reality shifts. Most people have a problem-focused orientation, but the life you deserve requires a solution-focused obsession. This isn't about positive thinking in a naive sense. It's about strategic focus. It's about asking yourself better questions. It's about asking yourself better questions. Instead of asking, why does this always happen to me? You ask, how can I use this to get to the next level? Your state is a muscle. If you don't prime it every single morning, it will atrophy and you will default to the lowest common denominator of your environment. You have to cultivate an emotional home of courage, determination, and playfulness. When you operate from a peak state, the obstacles that used to stop you suddenly look like speed bumps. You don't try to solve your problems from a state of exhaustion or fear. You bring a state of total certainty to the problem until the problem disappears. The moment of decision is where the invisible becomes visible, and where your destiny is literally forged in the fire of your own will. Most people live in a state of perpetual getting ready to get ready. They study, they plan, they wait for the right time, and they treat their dreams like a distant shore they might one day reach if the winds are favorable. But a real decision, a true committed decision, is a cutting off of any other possibility. The Latin root of the word decision means to cut off. It means you have decided that there is no plan B, no retreat, and no turning back. This is the moment where you move from the world of should into the world of must through the power of massive, immediate action. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is what bridges the gap between the life you have and the life you deserve. If you want to take the island, you have to burn the boats. When you burn the boats, you eliminate the psychological safety net that allows you to play small. You create a level of urgency that forces your brain to find solutions that were previously hidden from your view. Destiny isn't a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. It is the small, consistent decisions you make every single day that stack up to create the massive results you see in your life years down the line. It's the decision to get up when you're tired, the decision to make one more call when you're exhausted, and the decision to stay committed to your vision when everyone else is doubting you. Most people's lives are a reflection of their environment, but a leader's life is a reflection of their decisions. You have the power in any moment to change the entire trajectory of your existence by M. A king a new choice, but a decision without immediate action is just a daydream. You must anchor that decision in reality by doing anything that moves the needle forward right now. It doesn't have to be a giant leap. It just has to be a step taken with total certainty. When you operate with this level of decisiveness, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your own fate. You realize that your past does not equal your future unless you live there. By making a true decision today, you are severing the chains of yesterday and claiming the territory of your ultimate potential. The final, most critical barrier between you and the life you deserve is the invisible architecture of your limiting beliefs, the old outdated blueprint you've been carrying around like a heavy chain. We all have a story we tell ourselves about why we can't have what we want. We say we're too young, too old, too broke, or that we simply don't have the right background. But a belief is nothing more than a feeling of absolute certainty about what something means. Most of your beliefs aren't even yours. They were picked up from your parents, your teachers, or a society that is invested in you staying safe and predictable. These beliefs act as a glass ceiling on your potential. You will never consistently perform in a way that is inconsistent with who you believe you are. If you believe you are bad with money, you will unconsciously sabotage every financial opportunity that comes your way to remain consistent with that identity. To break through, you must first identify these lies and see them for what they are. Hallucinations of the past that have no power over your present unless you feed them. You have to take those limiting beliefs and subject them to massive doubt. You have to ask yourself, is this really true, or is it just a story I've Ed, to protect myself from the possibility of failure. Once you shatter the old blueprint, you must consciously design a new one. You don't just lose a belief. You replace it with something more powerful, something that serves the person you are becoming. If the old belief was, I'm not enough, the new foundational truth must be, I am the architect of my fate, and I have the resources within me to handle whatever comes my way. This isn't about affirmations that you don't believe, it's about finding the evidence to support a new reality. You have to look at your life and find the moments where you were strong, where you were resilient, and where you overcame the odds. You stack that evidence until the new belief becomes a conviction, a deep-seated, unshakable sense of certainty that pulls you towards your goals. When you change your internal blueprint, you change your external world. The opportunities that were invisible to you before suddenly start showing up because your brain is finally looking for them. You stop being a person who is trying to change and start being the person for whom change is a natural, inevitable expression of their identity